I started Taekwondo back when I was 11 years old. But early on, I didn't even realize that I was wasting years of my life at a McDojo. And the worst part, the signs were so obvious. Alright, but what even is a McDojo? The way I see it, a McDojo is a martial arts school that cares less about actually teaching the students and more about making money and profit. As a kid, I always loved martial arts movies and shows. You know, the classics, Karate Kid, Cobra Kai, Kung Fu Panda, and my favorite was Real Steel. I loved it so much that I asked my dad to sign me up for some karate classes. He ended up finding a Taekwondo dojo that was actually really near our house. I showed up, took my first trial, and safe to say, I loved it. I was sold immediately, and I kept showing up week after week. I was having so much fun. I was learning the basic moves, and I really felt like I was making good progress. But this didn't last very long. Very slowly, I started to question some things, and they really just rolled out to me in 3 different signs. The very first sign being their belt system. This was the sign I saw almost immediately. Most of the class was filled with kids around 6 to 10 years old. And some of these kids had black belts. They were really confident and cocky, like showing off their spinning kicks to everyone. Keep in mind, their spinning kicks would look something like this. And I'm not even exaggerating. And what makes it even worse is the instructor, the owner of the place, was hyping them up too. He'd give them like names, making them think they're like super strong fighters, when in reality, they were no different to a white belt who just joined the class. And I tried letting this slide, you know? I tried telling myself, they're just kids, like that's why they're like getting away with it. The black belt doesn't mean much. But then I started thinking to myself, if their black belt doesn't mean much, if I stuck around, would my black belt mean anything? But still, regardless, I stuck it out. I thought that I should look at the journey with me instead of at the dojo. But after a few months of training, I started to realize something. They taught practically nothing. Every single lesson was practically the same structure. We would practice our basic blocks, our basic kicks, and some wacky self-defense techniques that I genuinely believed would work. And of course, I kept telling myself, basics are important, master the basics. And while this is true, it's also very important to increase difficulty as you go up. As I was looking, the black belts, the red belts, the blue belts, they were all doing the exact same thing that we were doing. There was just one big class with everyone, and there was no variation for people's skill level. And not only that, after months of this, I really started to see the gaps. They had absolutely no sparring, no opportunity for competitions, and no pumse. And for those of you who don't know pumse is, it's essentially just Taekwondo's version of kata. I felt like there was no point in training anymore because everything I wanted to learn, the spinning kicks, learning how to actually fight, the forms, I was pretty much teaching it myself. Bro, Nat Hearn taught me more than my instructor did. And by the time we got to the grading, I don't even know if I can call it that. You just pay a $50 straight up fee, do the exact same techniques you do in the classroom, and they give you your next belt. You could get a black belt in literally like 2.5 years. And just as I was about to run out of my patience, something came that held me there for a little bit longer. My instructor announced something called the advanced class. He stood in front of my whole class and he was like, "Soon, I'm opening up an advanced class, and it's only for the champions. They'll do full contact sparring every lesson, they'll do the forms, and they'll do all the spinning kicks. Of course, with an extra cost." I was so excited. Everything that I wanted to do, everything that I thought was missing from this dojo would finally be there in this brand new class. So I tried so hard to get in. I was trying to prove myself, I was showing interest. I really wanted to get into this advanced class. And eventually I did, a belt early. I walked in and the class was different. It was filled with red belts and black belts only. I was a blue belt at the time. And instead of them all being like a group of 10-year-olds, they were actually older, like teenagers, 13 to 16. And while the class felt different, it was just exactly the same. we were doing the same watered down techniques as we were in the other class. The difference is it's just with the red and black belts who weren't even much of a higher skill level. But I put that aside and I waited for sparring time. That contact sparring every lesson sort of thing. For the first time ever, I could actually try sparring for real. I threw the first kick, a light roundhouse that immediately got blocked. But then I hear the voice behind me. Hey! I was so confused because I'm not sure what just happened. My angry instructor turned to me and started saying, "Hey, you don't do that!" And then he turned to my sparring partner and started asking him if he was okay. And my sparring partner completely blocked it, and it was a really light kick anyways. Even he was confused. The instructor turned back to me and he said, "We don't do that here. Shadow sparring only." Shadow sparring only. There were black belts in that class who have never sparred a day in their life. The instructor continued with one last line. "If you're gonna want to do that, you should just leave." I left the class that day, and I never came back. But that's not where the story ends. The aftermath was pretty rough. I really wanted to find a new dojo. I was excited to, but finding a new one was harder. There was none that were really as accessible as that one. But once I did find a new dojo, my ego was hit hard. I started to realize how bad I really was and how much I didn't know. Essentially, I only knew the 4 basic kicks and 2 spinning kicks, which I taught myself and could not do properly. I wasted the years of my head start, and now it felt like I started Taekwondo pretty late. But I recovered from that. I kept training, and now I'm where I'm at today. And I'm still growing. But if there's one thing that I want you to take away from this video, it's that you should not let your suspicions just get pushed down. I pretty much just kept telling myself that if I ignore all the signs, I ignore all the bad things, then they would just fade away. But what actually ended up happening was I wasted years of my life and so much of my parents' money. And I'm never gonna get those things back. So maybe you might be training at a McDojo, or maybe it might be something completely unrelated. Except I'm telling you that it's okay to be suspicious. It's okay to question things. It's better to address it than to run away from it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe if you want more of this stuff, or any other content ideas you have. Just let me know down below. Thanks guys.